Have you ever heard of Nikola Tesla and felt that his name carried a weight of mystery unlike any other inventor? Today, when most people hear the word Tesla, their minds instantly go to sleek electric cars silently gliding across highways. But behind that name lies a man whose life was far more fascinating, tragic, and inspiring than any brand could capture. Nikola Tesla was one of the greatest visionaries of all time, yet much of his work has slipped into the shadows of history. While his triumphs in alternating current electricity made him famous, his other creations, machines that dazzled audiences, hinted at future technologies, and in some cases terrified the public, have been largely forgotten. These machines reveal a Tesla who was not just an inventor, but a dreamer constantly building bridges to futures that the world wasn't ready to cross. Tesla was born in 1856 in a small village in what is now Croatia. From childhood, he was different. He claimed that he experienced powerful visions, flashes of light in which he saw objects and machines with startling clarity. While other children played with toys, Tesla was said to be running simulations in his mind, imagining inventions and testing them in daydreams as if they were real. He later described his method as visualization to perfection. He did not need models or drawings. He would picture a machine in his head, set it running, watch it fail, repair it mentally, and only then, when every part moved flawlessly in his imagination, would he bring it into reality. This strange gift gave him a level of creativity few inventors could match, and it is why his laboratory sometimes felt like a stage for magic. The world remembers Tesla for his war of currents against Thomas Edison. While Edison promoted direct current, Tesla championed alternating current, the system that ultimately powered cities, factories, and homes. But that victory only scratches the surface of his genius. Hidden in the folds of history are Tesla's machines that seemed too strange, too advanced, or too unprofitable for his time. These inventions, brilliant, eccentric, and haunting, make up the forgotten legacy we'll uncover in this story. One of the most extraordinary of these devices was Tesla's mechanical oscillator, popularly remembered as the earthquake machine. At first glance, it appeared unremarkable, a small steel contraption, compact enough to sit on a workbench. Yet, it held within it a startling secret, the power of resonance. Resonance is one of nature's most curious forces. You've seen it when a singer shatters a glass by holding a pure note, or when a child on a swing gains height simply because each push matches the natural rhythm. Tesla realized that resonance could amplify energy in ways no one had dared to explore. In his New York laboratory, Tesla attached his oscillator to beams and girders, slowly building up vibrations. To onlookers, nothing seemed unusual at first, but soon, the shaking grew. Metal clanged, glass rattled, and within minutes, the vibration spread through the building. Stories say that police rushed to the scene, fearing an earthquake. Tesla, unfazed, casually turned off the machine and declared that he could, in theory, split the earth in two if he had a large enough version. Whether or not this was exaggeration, the principle was sound. Resonance can magnify small forces into massive effects. Today, engineers design skyscrapers and bridges with resonance in mind, ensuring that vibrations from wind or earthquakes don't destroy them. Tesla's oscillator was more than a curiosity. It was a glimpse of how harnessing resonance could reshape engineering. And yet, after the headlines faded, the machine itself was dismissed, half remembered as a mad scientist's trick rather than a legitimate innovation. Another forgotten gem was Tesla's bladeless turbine. Unlike the massive, blade-filled turbines of his era, Tesla designed a machine of graceful simplicity. It consisted of smooth, parallel discs arranged on a shaft. Instead of blades chopping through steam, the turbine used the natural adhesion of fluids, pulling them along the discs and spirals until they released their energy. The result was a compact, efficient engine with far fewer moving parts and less wear and tear. Tesla believed his turbine could power automobiles, factories, and even airplanes. He boasted that it could reach astonishing efficiency levels, rivaling the best engines of the day. But the world had already invested heavily in bladed turbines. Entire industries were built around them, and no one wanted to tear down their infrastructure to adopt Tesla's radical design. Without investors, the bladeless turbine never made it beyond small-scale prototypes. Some of those prototypes still exist in museums today, their elegance admired but their potential unfulfilled. Engineers who study them often marvel that a machine devised over a century ago still feels modern, even futuristic. The Tesla turbine was not a failure of design but a failure of timing, a machine forgotten because it did not fit into the economic machinery of its era. Tesla also demonstrated something that seemed downright magical at the time: wireless lighting. In his laboratory, he would invite audiences into a darkened room. Then, holding a glass tube in his hand, he would watch as it suddenly glowed with white-blue light. There were no wires, no plugs, no visible source of power. The lamps lit up as if by sorcery, drawing energy from the invisible fields Tesla had created in the room. To audiences of the late 1800s, this was a marvel. Newspapers describe it as the closest thing to wizardry science had ever produced. For Tesla, these glowing lamps were more than entertainment. They were proof of a larger dream, transmitting electricity wirelessly across cities and continents. He envisioned a world without power lines, where energy flowed like air or water, accessible to all. Imagine holding a lamp anywhere, and it's simply glowing because the atmosphere itself carried power. But investors balked. Free energy sounded beautiful, but it also sounded like the end of profit. Companies wanted customers tethered to wires, bills, and meters. Tesla's wireless lamps remained laboratory wonders, impressive but unsupported, a dazzling footnote in the story of electricity. Perhaps the most astonishing of Tesla's overlooked inventions was his radio-controlled boat, which he unveiled in 1898 at Madison Square Garden. The audience gasped as a small boat, floating in a pool, moved at Tesla's command. He pressed a controller, and the boat turned, its lights blinked, and its propeller whirred. No wires, no hidden operators. To the public, it was unbelievable. Some accused Tesla of trickery. Others joked that he had hidden a trained monkey inside to steer it. Tesla, however, insisted it was the future, a demonstration of wireless control. This little boat was, in fact, the world's first remote control device. Tesla called it a teleautomaton and described how, one day, fleets of such machines could perform dangerous labor, explore oceans, or fight wars without risking human lives. In many ways, he was describing drones, robotics, and artificial intelligence before those terms even existed. Yet, once again, the world wasn't ready. The US military dismissed the invention as a toy, unable to imagine how important remote control technology would become. Tesla's robotic boat was forgotten, but its legacy echoes today every time a drone takes flight or a robot performs surgery. What unites these machines, the oscillator, the bladeless turbine, the wireless lamps, the robotic boat, is not just their brilliance but their neglect. Tesla was too far ahead, too unprofitable, too eccentric for his time. Investors like Edison and Morgan wanted technologies that could be monetized immediately. Tesla dreamed instead of a future where energy was free, machines worked elegantly, and technology served humanity more than corporations. His ideals clashed with the financial realities of the industrial age. The tragedy is that many of Tesla's machines were not impractical at all. They worked, often spectacularly, but because they didn't fit into existing markets, they were abandoned. And over time, they were forgotten, overshadowed by Edison's electric light bulb, Bell's telephone, and Marconi's radio. Tesla became a figure surrounded by myth, admired by enthusiasts but often overlooked by official history. And yet, his machines refused to disappear completely. Engineers rediscover his patents and marvel at their creativity. Hobbyists rebuild his turbines and oscillators. Historians trace modern technologies back to his prototypes. Every time we place our phones on a wireless charger, we touch the echo of Tesla's wireless lamps. Every time we use a drone, we reenact the vision Tesla showed at Madison Square Garden. Every time architects design buildings to withstand resonance, they are, unknowingly, honoring Tesla's oscillator. Tesla's forgotten machines are more than curiosities. They are lessons in how innovation works, and sometimes, how it doesn't. They remind us that genius is not always rewarded, that the world often ignores visionaries until long after their time. But they also remind us that ideas never truly die. They wait, hidden, until the world is ready. As we close part one of this story, we have explored Tesla's early forgotten machines, the compact oscillator that shook buildings, the bladeless turbine that challenged engines, the lamps that glowed without wires, the boat that moved without a captain. They are proof of a mind that lived in the future. But these were only the beginning. Because Tesla also built machines that were bigger, stranger, and far more controversial. Machines that hinted at limitless energy, unstoppable weapons, and even the manipulation of the Earth itself. Some of these machines existed only in blueprints, others in half-finished towers, and others in the fevered imagination of a genius chasing possibilities at the edge of science. In Part 2, we will venture into the stories of Wardenclyffe Tower, the so-called death ray, the planetary resonance experiments, and Tesla's ultimate dream of global wireless power. Were they real inventions or myths? Suppressed by governments or abandoned as impractical? The answers lie somewhere between fact and legend. And that is where Tesla's most unforgettable machines wait to be discovered. We had explored Tesla's early forgotten machines, the oscillator that rattled buildings, the bladeless turbine that could have revolutionized engines, the wireless lamps that glowed without cords, and the robotic boat that foreshadowed drones. These inventions alone would be enough to secure Tesla's place as a genius ahead of his time. Yet, they are only half the story. Because Tesla also dreamed bigger, far bigger. His later projects were less like laboratory curiosities and more like world-changing machines, the kind of visions that danced dangerously between science and myth. Perhaps the most famous of these forgotten projects was the Wardenclyffe Tower, Tesla's colossal experiment on Long Island, New York. Rising nearly 200 feet into the sky, topped with a massive steel dome, the tower looked like something out of a science fiction illustration. To the casual observer, it seemed like an oversized radio antenna. But Tesla's ambitions were much more radical. He believed Wardenclyffe could transmit electricity wirelessly across the world. Tesla's vision was breathtaking. Imagine a planet where no wires stretch across landscapes, no power lines arm above your head, no fuel needs to be burned to keep the lights on. Instead, energy would be broadcast through the atmosphere itself, available everywhere and free for all. Ships at sea could draw power without carrying coal. Villages in remote mountains could light up without ever building power stations. Entire cities could glow with wireless lamps powered from afar. In Tesla's words, Wardenclyffe would make energy as free as the air we breathe. But behind this noble dream lay a harsh reality: money. Tesla convinced financier J.P. Morgan to invest, pitching the tower initially as a wireless telegraphy project, essentially an advanced form of radio. Morgan saw profit in long-distance communication and agreed. But when Tesla revealed that he intended not just to send messages but to beam power freely, Morgan recoiled. Free electricity meant no profit. Why would people pay for what they could get without wires? Morgan quietly withdrew support. Without funding, construction stalled. By 1917, the Wardenclyffe Tower was dismantled for scrap. For Tesla, this was a crushing defeat. He had placed his greatest hopes into the tower, only to watch it collapse under the weight of economics. Yet the dream never truly died. Today, wireless charging pads for phones, inductive power for electric vehicles, and experiments in beaming solar energy from satellites all trace their lineage back to Tesla's vision. Wardenclyffe stands as a symbol of what might have been, a machine forgotten by industry but immortal in imagination. If Wardenclyffe was Tesla's dream of peace and abundance, his other great project was its opposite, a weapon. In the 1930s, Tesla began speaking publicly about a machine he called a teleforce weapon. Newspapers quickly dubbed it the Death Ray. The name stuck, despite Tesla's protests. He insisted it was not a weapon of conquest but of defense, a peace ray that would make war impossible. Tesla claimed the device could project concentrated streams of particles across hundreds of miles, powerful enough to destroy aircraft, armies, even ships. To modern ears, it sounds like something out of a science fiction pulp magazine. Yet, Tesla described it with confidence, even offering blueprints to governments. He wrote that with such a system, every nation could protect its borders without the need for armies. His idea was that if every country owned a death ray, no one would ever dare to start a war. Skeptics laughed. Governments politely listened but declined. No working prototype was ever built, at least not publicly. And when Tesla died in 1943, many of his papers were seized by the US government. Among them, some believe, were notes about the death ray. Did they contain secrets of a real weapon? Or were they simply the sketches of an aging inventor desperate for attention and funding? Historians remain divided. What cannot be denied is that the concept itself, projecting concentrated beams of energy, was not pure fantasy. Today, militaries experiment with directed energy weapons, particle accelerators, and high-powered lasers, all technologies that echo Tesla's claims. Whether Tesla truly built a death ray or merely imagined one, the legend persists, another machine half buried in mystery. Another of Tesla's machines that straddled the line between reality and exaggeration was his earthquake machine. We touched on the mechanical oscillator in part 1, but its legend grew in Tesla's later years. He hinted that by tuning such a device to the Earth's natural frequencies, he could unleash devastating power. In interviews, he spoke dramatically about being able to split the Earth in two like an apple. The claim sounds absurd, but resonance is indeed powerful. Bridges can collapse under rhythmic marching, as with the infamous Tacoma Narrows Bridge disaster. Skyscrapers sway under the rhythm of wind. Even the Earth itself vibrates at low frequencies detectable by seismographs. Tesla, obsessed with resonance, saw possibilities where others saw limits. Did he truly believe he could crack the Earth open? Or was he indulging in showmanship, exaggerating his experiments to capture attention? Whatever the truth, his oscillator became a symbol of the danger and promise of resonance, a forgotten machine remembered only through rumors of catastrophe. Perhaps more practical, and more overlooked, was Tesla's work on robotics and automation. His remote-controlled boat was not a mere toy. It was a proof of concept for a future filled with autonomous machines. Tesla spoke openly about building automatons that could perform labor, explore unknown territories, and even think for themselves. In the 1890s, this sounded like lunacy. How could a machine think? How could it make decisions without a human hand? But Tesla was again peering into the future. He foresaw a world where machines would act as extensions of human will, controlled wirelessly, programmed to respond intelligently. Today, that vision has become reality in the form of drones, robots, and artificial intelligence. Yet few remember that Tesla was among the first to describe it. His robotic boat remains one of his most underappreciated machines, a modest demonstration that foreshadowed an entire technological revolution. Tesla's later years were a mixture of brilliance and decline. He continued to publish bold ideas: wireless energy grids, death rays, weather control, communication with other planets, but funding was scarce, and public patience wore thin. Once hailed as a genius, he was increasingly dismissed as an eccentric. He lived alone in New York hotels, feeding pigeons and scribbling notes for machines that would never be built. When he died in 1943, he was nearly penniless, his hotel room filled with papers, many of which were confiscated by authorities. The legend only deepened when rumors spread that secret inventions were hidden in those papers, inventions governments might have kept locked away. What makes Tesla's forgotten machines so captivating is not simply whether they worked, but what they represented. The Wardenclyffe Tower represented a world of abundance, where energy flowed freely. The death ray represented a world of fear, where ultimate power might enforce peace. The earthquake machine represented the raw force of nature, harnessed by human ingenuity. The robotic boat represented the dawn of machines that think. Each one embodied Tesla's belief that technology could transform humanity, for better or for worse. In our world today, echoes of Tesla's machines surround us. Wireless charging stations hint at Wardenclyffe. Military research into beam weapons recalls the death ray. Seismic studies and structural engineering nod to the oscillator. Robotics, drones, and artificial intelligence owe a silent debt to his teleautomatons. Tesla's machines may have been forgotten in their time, but they were not lost. They seeped into the fabric of modern technology, resurfacing when humanity was finally ready to embrace them. And perhaps that is Tesla's greatest legacy, the reminder that innovation often runs ahead of acceptance. The world ignored his turbines, laughed at his boats, dismissed his towers, and mocked his rays. But history has proven him right again and again. His machines may have been forgotten by his contemporaries, but they continue to shape our present. Tesla once said, "The present is theirs, the future, for which I really worked, is mine." Those words echo across the decades. His machines were not built for his present. They were sketches of our future. Some remain unbuilt. Some live only in legend. But others, once forgotten, now thrive quietly all around us. So the next time you hear the name Tesla, don't just think of the cars on the highway. Think of the man in his laboratory, holding a glowing lamp with no wires, turning a turbine of smooth discs, steering a robotic boat, watching his tower rise into the sky. Think of the machines he built that no one talks about, machines that changed history even from the shadows. And if you want to keep exploring stories like this, of genius, forgotten inventions, and the mysteries of innovation, then remember to stay with us here on Memorable. Because sometimes, the past is not forgotten at all. It is waiting for us to rediscover it.